Welcome to the Santa Cruz Coffee Break. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcast, please follow, hit the like button, or any subscribes. It really helps us with the algorithms. Santa Cruz Coffee Break is produced by the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum. All opinions are those of the speakers. We invite you to join us on the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum at SCGCPF for more fun. Now, let's get on with this installment of Santa Cruz Coffee Break. Well, we'd like to welcome everybody to Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum podcast number 106. And today we're pleased to welcome Dave Fowler, a fingerstyle player from Austin, Texas, who, if you haven't seen his Facebook posts or you haven't seen his YouTube channel, which I would ask everybody to subscribe and like and do all the things that help us down the road here. He's a really wonderful player and a little bit under the radar. And, you know, we always like to have some people that are under the radar. So welcome in, Dave.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you very much for the compliment. And I'm definitely a Santa Cruz believer in Santa Cruz guitars, that's for sure.
I wondered about the setting when you're out by the lake. How are you doing that? Are you doing it live, or is there a microphone or a pickup system in that guitar? Or?
Well, actually, yeah. No, I wasn't live. I did that. It was done. It was recorded in the studio, and then there was kind of a long story behind that. The original videos of when I recorded it. Well, maybe I should say they were not. They lost the videos or they misplaced them, and so we had to go back and do. And so I actually did. He had the recording, and then I played to the recording, and I had practiced it up so much, I knew it, by heart. And so we went out by Lake Austin to get an outside shot, just to do a different scene in the back. And so when I first did it, the sound was good because it was the recorded, engineered version of it from the recording studio. I didn't really like the thing at first, but then I put it on Instagram and put it on Facebook, and a lot of people liked the outside setting. I noticed that. So.
Well, you're an amazing. I wouldn't say lip syncer, but that's pretty amazing. Because I've watched it pretty closely, and it seems like that's what you're playing. Right at that time, and I'm going. How do you get that?
Yeah, the original video in the studio was lost, and it was we had to redo it, and we actually redid it in the studio again too, but. It's a long story, but I kind of practice up these cover songs so much that I know them by heart, and that's probably why. And I wouldn't really want to do that unless it would look like I was playing live, because people can tell, I'm sure. So, but that's good that you couldn't really tell.
Yeah, you had me because I was going. So it's plugged in. Is that what's going on? What's going on here?
And, well, I do. I practice. Well, we have it. Well, go ahead. You're asking the question. So.
No.
I was saying that I record. The place I record is called the Recording Conservancy of Austin. It's over on the west side of Austin. I've been working with them for about 3 years and now, and it's actually I really like the way they do it. I do it live, and then the sound engineer Ben does he does a little bit of production, post production on it, and not a whole lot, but I like the way they do it. And the funny thing is I feel like that recording process makes me a better player. Because I haven't done that much recording, and I haven't done a whole lot of live playing with the acoustic guitar. I actually started out playing electric guitar when I was young and played in some bands. I wasn't a professional, but I played in some bands here in Austin, but I gradually became an acoustic player over the years. That's a story. And then, but I actually have I've got more, that recording process, listening back to myself has made me a better player. I feel like in the last 3 years, it's improved my technique because I really know I like extraneous noises and things like that. And I can really practice in on my repertoire and get it better in that process. And so the whole thing is with the recording studio has been really good for me, I think.
Well, it shows.
Thanks.
It really does show. I don't think I don't think anybody would deny that having to listen to a playback of yourself makes you a better player. You know.
Yeah,
or makes you want to give up altogether. I mean,
well, exactly. And I actually had that. I had that experience because I went in and I think it was around at 2020 or 21, and when I first had got the Santa Cruz OM Grand, and I went to somebody else, like someone's home studio to record, and I'd never I wasn't listening to myself enough, and so when I started doing it, he pointed out all this extraneous noises that I was making, and it was not good, and so I actually took like a whole year after that first recording attempt. I took a whole year and just practiced and kind of shored up my technique. And I use one seat, a particular seat that I sit at, and I use a footstool, and I have the guitar put the guitar in one position, and I about 3 or 4 years ago, after that first recording attempt, I went in and I adjusted my technique doing that, and then I've been doing, and all of a sudden I think I finally found the technique, that works for me. And then the next year in 2023, I started recording with the Conservancy here in Austin, and then and so my technique has kind of become solid for me. If you know what I'm saying. I was kind of flailing around a little bit, but then I kind of found something like 3 years ago, and in the technique, and I just slowly but surely try to work on that and perfect it.
Tad, what's Eric's? He called it a leg up or something like that. Is that?
oh yeah, I think that's what it was called. It was like a piece of leather that had two suction cups that you could attach to the underside of the guitar so that the guitar would want to sit in a naturally upright position without having to hold it there.
Uh-huh.
And he uses the footstool as well.
Well, I used to. I didn't. A few years back, I didn't use, but I got to the point where I realized that I needed a particular chair and a footstool. And then I used to actually have a strap on, and I had the guitar a little bit further away from my body than what you see on the videos. But again, after I had this first attempt at recording that didn't go well, I changed. I took my strap off, and I've got that guitar not like tight against me, but I've got it touching me, and I've got my hands in a particular place, and I've got the footstool and the chair. And it works for me. I mean, some people, I'm sure, can move the guitar around. I never could do that. If I keep it in that one place, and that's, to me, has helped me develop and improve my technique. And just
more of the Pete Townsend type.
Oh, right, exactly. Well, Pete Townsend is fabulous. He's always been a favorite of mine, but to see what he does. That's the exact opposite of what I'm talking about. Like how he can play so great and then throw it around. I mean, that's just a particular unusual talent. Hats off to him.
Yeah. Well, tell us, what did you say you have a practice routine or a practice technique that you follow? What do you do to practice? What's your
Okay.
routine?
Okay. Well, I wake up. I wake up every morning. I try to practice in the morning. Like I wake up, the 8, 9 ish. I try to do. It seems like I get my best practice in the mornings. Not every single morning, because some days you just don't feel as good with it. But mentally, it seems like I concentrate better in the morning, and so I have a repertoire of songs, and then I just keep going over them, and I keep so far as I'm working with my left hand, and particularly my right hand, because the right hand is, to me, the key to absolute key to the being a good fingerstyle player. And for years I didn't work on it enough. And I kind of think, if I started what I've been doing the last 3 or 4 years, if I just done that about 10 or 15 years ago, I'd be really good now. But so I go over my repertoire, and then I started breaking down the parts of the songs, and I go over the bridge part of it. I go over the, and I get more and more. I used to not do that, but the more I practice, individual parts, and repeat, and it's just like, practice 101 is like practice over the parts that you don't play quite as well. Practice more those parts more, right? Well, I finally started doing that a few years ago, and it really works. It's really improved my technique.
That's inspiring, Dave. Really,
Thank you
that's
very
really
much.
inspiring.
It is, I mean, I think, I think a lot of people have a good musical ear. You hear that expression like, "Wow, you have good." So I think I have a good musical ear, but I think that I think it's like the concentration and being able to sit in one place for a long period of time without becoming too bored. That's like part of the besides because to me, listening to music and enjoying music and then actually trying to play it and recreate it back, those are two things. And I mean, to me, there's a lot of people, a whole lot of people have a great musical ear, but trying to, it's almost like playing guitar, playing music to me is like more like, it's like an athletic type. It's like an athletic endeavor, in my opinion. It's like bowling or throwing a football or throwing a baseball or softball or basketball. There are certain techniques, and the people who are best athletes at techniques at doing those things, they take their technique of throwing a baseball or softball or batting or whatever, and they just go over that technique constantly till it becomes. I mean, they do it daily, and it's like, to me, I think that's it's the best analogy I could give to music is doing that and working on like understanding your technique, finally finding, okay, this is the technique that's working for me, because it's a little different with everybody. And then you just keep working on that, and it's almost like an athletic, you've got the good musical ear. If you're a good musician, you got a good musical ear, but you got to work on the physical techniques, the athletic techniques, in my opinion, to become a proficient player. And so I just wish I'd started doing it, like that a little earlier, before I'm 70 years old now.
So how often do you add to your repertoire? How often do you bring a new song in? And do you choose a new song based on something you want to perform, or just something that you think has a technique that you're like, wow, I really want to learn how to do that, or something
Yeah,
like that?
that's a great question. Yeah. So the first part of that, yeah, lately I haven't been adding a whole lot of new stuff. because I keep going over. I have quite a few that I've been playing for many years that I'm very close to. I'm hoping like I got about maybe 20 that I can get recorded this year. I'm hoping by the end of the year. So I'm not adding a whole lot more, but I have a lot of ideas of ones that I like. So to me, I like, I'm from the classic rock era, so I like, a lot of that stuff. But to me, I've kind of picked out over the years these cover songs, and they're cover songs that I've liked, personally, that speak to me, and but there's so many great songs out there that you can play, but not all of them lend themselves to be a good fingerstyle instrumental. So there's a lot of songs I'd like to play that I don't think I could really pull it off, as a fingerstyle solo instrumental. So I pick the ones that I feel like that I like personally, and I think other people will like too, but I've got to like it personally.
Yeah.
And then it's got to be something that works, as a instrumental, as a fingerstyle instrumental, which there's so many great songs. Like, you talk about Pete Townsend. I mean, how many great Who songs are there?
Yeah.
And
so many of them suffer without enough cowbell.
Well, exactly. Yeah, right. or without enough. But, to me, and I tried out a lot of songs, and sometimes you try out a song and you think, oh, yeah. And some songs I've tried, I didn't think that they would come across as a solo instrumental, and they actually did. And then some of them I thought would, and they didn't. So you gotta have to experiment with the cover songs that you like. But one of my things is like I started out playing electric guitar years ago and playing blues, and I was through Clapton and Townsend and all that, every Allman Brothers and all that kind of stuff, and then but I got to where I over the years I was working full time here in Austin, and I just didn't feel like I could successfully, by the time I would get off in the evenings and weekends from working, I had a wife and a kid and a family, and then working full time. So that's where I kind of gravitated to the acoustic guitar solo, because I could do it myself, without anybody. I didn't have to be in a band. If you're playing electric guitar, in my opinion, is an ensemble instrument. At some point, playing electric guitar, you're just going to get bored. I mean, by the time the evenings and weekends would come, I'd be so, tired that it was hard for me to try to play in a band. And so I just started playing solo acoustic, and I would take songs that I liked. And I really, what I wanted to do was try to take a song that I liked, like for instance, that one, the Moody Blues. I always loved the Moody Blues. And so I did that, the song, Tuesday Afternoon. And so I'm trying to recreate, I'm not a singer, I'm not a good singer. So I'm trying to recreate the song as though, it's being sung, but sung instrumentally. So that's kind of what I started doing, taking a favorite cover tunes and, putting the voice to it. And I wanted to play songs. I wanted to play songs from beginning to end. One thing about electric guitar, I kind of got tired of is like just improvising and playing. It's like I wanted to play a song from beginning to end. The beginning, and then the start, and then the bridge, and the ending, and the outro, whatever. I wanted to play on an instrumental guitar the whole thing, and from beginning to end. And that's another thing that I thought of when I was doing what I'm doing. So I've actually been working on these things I almost am a little embarrassed to say, but some of those songs I've been working on for, I don't know, 10, 20 years. I started playing them. I mean, I couldn't even play them. I could work up the arrangement of it in a short period of time, but it's taken me like literally years of practicing those things up to be able to practice them, to perform them enough to record them like I have. So
do you sorry to interrupt there, but
no,
do you sing the part even if it's not projected as you're trying to learn it? Are you kind of singing along with it? A couple people I know do that, and they say and I think it does too. I think it really helps you formulate what you're trying to do there.
I do because I love the songs that I'm doing, and I would love to be able to sing them, but I've never been able to be a good singer, and I've never been able to be a good singer, especially when I'm trying to play guitar and be a good singer too. So, but I do that. I kind of I'm thinking it in my head as I'm playing it, but more and more as my technique has gotten better, I actually can. Last year, or so I can actually, sing low to myself on a lot of these now, and it's just because I'm getting more better at my technique, where I can, keep the concentration going, where I can. That's always been an issue with me. Is like I don't know. I'm very distractible. I have like a concentrate. Maybe I have some kind of ADHD issue that has never been diagnosed, but I'm very distractible. So that's why I can play this instrumental, and if that's all I do, and I'm not distracted by anything else, I slowly but surely have become good at it. But when I try to do different things altogether, my concentration starts waning. So
I think you hit on certain things that people that I know that are really successful fingerstylists, they have a repertoire. They don't try to play everything. They have a repertoire. They have a song list, and they might warm up with that song list in the morning. And a lot of them seem to work early in the morning too. I don't know if you're a coffee person.
I am.
Okay.
That's the first thing I do when I go downstairs is start making the coffee. And for some reason, mentally, my concentration is better in the morning. And I can play at other time, but that seems to work for me.
Close your ears to that, Tad.
But there's people who see. I'm one who is good if I can get myself in a routine and a habit. I can be good, but there's plenty of people who they'll stay up all night and they'll do this and do that, and they can do their stuff fine, and it's more power to them. And me, I never was able to do that. I have to like get in bed about 11 o'clock and get up about 8 o'clock at 9 o'clock, and if I deviate and I'm retired from my day jobs or whatever for 10 years or so, but if I still keep kind of a Monday through Friday and then a Saturday, Sunday, weekend schedule. And but that routine is what works for me too. I got to have a routine. And like you say, I'm working on a repertoire of songs. And, you said something just now. It's like, people who don't try to play everything. And I've thought about that so much because I would love to be able to play everything. I'd love to be able to. I love electric guitar, but I had to decide. Do you want to try to be good at something, or the jack of all trades and master of none kind of thing, which is it's a truism, and it's really true. It's like, for me, I could concentrate on this and start getting good at this. If I tried to do too much, and I don't keep that many different guitars either, because it's like I got to like keep playing. I've been playing at OM Grand. I have a Collings Dreadnought that I play, but I have it, but I never keep different guitars. I'm just like honing in on I try to do one thing good, and because it works for me. I do think that different people are talented in different ways, and there's people that can play different instruments and all that. And I could do a little of that if I wanted to, but it's just, I try to be good at one thing. And it seems like that's working for me, but I love to be able to play, blues. I used to listen to, back in college here, I've been here in Austin since 1973. And I can tell you stories of when I was a young kid going out, and I'd seeing Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimmy Vaughan out here. This was back in the 1970s playing. And,
Wow.
well, yeah, I have some stories. I was like a freshman in college here at UT Austin. I was walking one Saturday night up the drag, and I heard this Chicago blues band, and I was really playing into blues. And I walked in, and it was Jimmy Vaughan, and his band was Storm. It was a 4-piece band with him on guitar, bass, and drums, and then he had a singer, harmonica player. And there was like nobody in that place, and these people were. I mean, this was a fabulous, world-class blues band that he was doing, and I just walked in there. I was about 17 or 18 years old, and just listened to these guys, and I with my mouth open for 2 hours until the place closed. And then I went up and I shook his hand. I said, hey, how could I get to be? He said, go put your name up over at the university and whatever. And then we used to listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan, who's even more fabulous. There was one time we would see him playing when he would start up with different bands, and there was a time when I think it was 77 or 8, and going in there, and again you just happened to be there. There was nobody in the place, and you're sitting there 10 feet from the stage with him screaming, guitar, and we just kind of took all of that for granted, and then now you look back on it and it's like, wow.
That was a really, really, really incredible scene that happened there.
Yeah, have you ever been to Austin?
Yeah, I've been several times, and probably not for 15 years, but
it's a lot different than it used to be. But
yeah, I have a lot of friends at UT, and that's what they tell me is that it's not like it even was when I was there 15 years ago or something like that. But Tad grew up Berkeley,
oh yeah,
and you had that thing, and I mean I grew up in the Chicago area, but I wasn't brave enough to go down to the blues clubs.
Right,
because I was a white kid and I didn't have that Bloomfield, cojones that just let you walk in there and
yeah. And I was lucky there as a college kid in Austin. I didn't have to worry about that. There was just I just walk up the street from UT and there it was. So
it's I think something happened there with. I think my hotel caught on fire the last time I was there, and it was.
Oh, in Austin?
Yeah.
And he still claims no responsibility.
I have nothing. I had no idea what was going on.
Well, Austin has really super changed. I mean, I've been here the whole time. We used to have the Armadillo World Headquarters. That's another place I wish I'd gone more than I did. And I mean the town from like 1973 when I was there to now, I mean, you wouldn't even recognize it. But it's still, the thing is, it still has a cultural kind of, like the people here in Austin, even though they're from really everywhere else now, as much as Austin, it's people here are very friendly, and they love music, and they love all different kinds of music. You can be playing music, and people will be, and that's the part that really hasn't changed. Like the people culture of Austin, it's always been like that, and it's still like that. Even though and a lot of people are really down on how big the city has gotten and how expensive it's gotten, and it really has. But to me, the cultural thing of the people, even though it's a different generation, it's still the same, in my opinion. I still love the place. I'll be here forever. You know.
Last time I was there, I think the Delionaires were just starting to move in,
Uh-huh.
and it was changing. But I mean, you had Antoine's that was really
Mm-hmm.
bringing Chicago blues, down there.
And that was, yeah, and he's been in several different, and the fellow, I can't think of his name. I'm terrible with names these days, forgetting them, but was the fellow that started Antone's, and he had it in several different places, and we went to all of them, and I remember seeing Muddy Waters there, and
Yeah.
Hubert Sumlin, and all they had, like you say, they brought them down from Chicago,
And treated them like kings.
uh-huh.
And really gave them a voice when at that time it was really dying. I mean, the blues in that area, not in any area, but the blues was really dying, and then you had guys that caught fire like Stevie Ray and that kind of a thing, and Clapton was kind of wherever he was, at that point. He had done what he needed to do to put his flag in the ground. But that was really, really. I think I spent a couple of nights wandering up and down that strip there, where and just
The
walking
drag,
in.
they call it the drag. Yeah.
Yeah, and just walking in and seeing whoa,
Yeah.
that guy's
And most
good.
most of those places are gone. They're still the hole in the wall is still there. If you remember that place, it was up a little bit further north from the
Yeah.
campus, just a little bit north.
Yeah.
But
Those days
yeah,
are
it's
those days have changed. I mean, your YouTube channel is your window to the world, and the world's window to you, and Facebook off and on pretty good, but a lot of issues with it, but boy, nothing like seeing it live.
true.
Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
seeing music live versus it's a whole different thing. I don't get out and see enough music. I pretty much do my practicing and whatever, but I do want to when I get some more things on my YouTube channel. I really do want to go out and play, because there's a lot of places. For a solo acoustic player, there's not as much places, but I know that I could probably get out there and play. I played a little bit, but not much with acoustic.
You could hold down one night at a club a week or every 2 weeks.
Exactly, that's what I would like to do
That'd be
eventually
great.
in the near future.
Tad
Because it
still.
really is inspiring, to have people, like what you're doing. I mean, it really inspires you to play and want to get better and do stuff. I mean, it's really makes a difference.
Tad still performs.
Occasionally.
Occasionally, I played professionally from 71 to 80, and I did get on a stage with John Thomas, the guy that wrote Kalamazoo Gals. I did get on a stage with him last summer, and remembered as we were trying to play these 40s Gibson guitars in this screaming country bar. I kind of remembered all those issues that went along with it. But
There's that reminds me of that famous scene of the Blues Brothers where they're in the country bar, and the people are throwing the beer bottles.
I did that. I played. We used to play a brothel in and it wasn't supposed to be a brothel, but Deadwood, South Dakota was pretty wide open at
Oh,
that time, and we had chicken wire in front of us,
wow.
that kept us safe.
I just went up through last year. We went up through. My wife and I took a road trip up through South Dakota, but I was going to go through Deadwood because I've seen that. I've seen that program,
Yeah,
and that. But we didn't make it through there. But we made to Mount Rushmore and all that. So in the Black Hills.
yeah. What's next for you?
Well, I'd like to, like I said, the rest of this year I've got targeted. Like another 10 or 20 songs that I really want to get that I've been practicing a long time and want to get them recorded. And then I want to, like you said, maybe I do have enough original material, probably for a good, a good, like if they call it what do they call it these days? A CD or an album, or, it's not an album anymore.
EP.
EP. Okay. So I have enough, original for one, for a good one, I think. And so I'd like to get that done in the near future within the next year or so, and get another 20 cover songs and other ones recorded, and keep building my YouTube channel, and then maybe start playing out. I find that, at my advanced age, and, these days, it seems like the YouTube channel and the recording process, almost gets me more exposure. It's like my years are numbered, like everybody at this point. And so I'm thinking I want to do that first. And I could go out and try to play, but I think I'm going to wait a little while before trying to do more, live stuff.
I think that you've got a pretty good window on the world, and people that are out right now, like Tad and I are good friends with Carolyn Sills, and
oh yeah, I emailed back and forth with her for in 2020 with that, and I was very impressed with Carolyn. She's just such a conscientious, sincere person, and she would answer every one of my questions like to the detail. I'm very impressed with Carolyn. I think she left, and I
Yeah.
have
Well,
not seen her, but
she's an outstanding bass player and singer as well,
and
I
and songwriter.
and
great.
songwriter. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think
it took them time. I mean, there was the Carolyn Sills combo, and that was a 5-piece for a long time. And I don't know if Poy Rogers kind of came like a little bit after COVID, Tad, but just there, and they're a 2-piece. Gerard's
okay.
playing a triple neck and acoustic guitar, and she's just playing stand up. And now they're touring in front of national acts, and they had to figure out what they could do to afford to do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Because taking 5-piece band on the road is a lot cheaper than traveling with your husband in a Sprinter, and sleeping in the back 2 nights a week and getting a shower every 3 days. It's a much different, but obviously working for them, and I guess they're doing their first East Coast gigs this year. But I'll pass
Mm-hmm.
along your compliments to her.
Oh yeah, Carolyn was great. She helped out so much, and very the attention to detail. That I'm sure that she was dealing with dozens of people, but she could sort out everybody's detailed questions and give you a spot on answer to every one of them.
I think Richard. Richard seems to find those people. The woman that took over for her, Brenda Martinez, is
I met Brenda.
as thorough and just really really wonderful. And maybe it's there reflecting the spirit of what Richard brings to the table, but he certainly brings a unique, educated, beautiful perspective to things.
Yeah, he really does. And I was so lucky. I was where my adult daughter went up there. I think it was January of 24, and we were on a road trip. It's a long story. We went up to California, and I said, well, let's try to go up and go through Santa Cruz. And sure enough, it was a day or two after New Year's, and they were there. And I just called up and I said, hey, and there was nobody there, and so it was me and my daughter, and then there was one other person, and Richard was there, and he took us through a like a 2-hour tour, of the place, and you got to ask him questions and stuff.
It was supposed to be 45 minutes long.
Yeah,
and
well,
I've never known one under 2 hours.
I think it was because it was so slow after the New Year's. I mean, it was just how it gets at that time of year, and so we were just lucky enough to do that. Yeah, but I remember him. I was asking him. And I remember him because I've become a Brazilian rosewood, freak. I just love Brazilian rose. I don't think I could, now that I got my OM Grand, I don't think I could have another guitar if it wasn't Brazilian rosewood. And then, so I asked Richard, I said, well, Richard, what is it about the Brazilian rosewood that gives it that little extra sound or whatever it is, that richness of tone? And he just sort of, he's kind of very low key guy. And he just, it's the density of the wood. I thought, wow, I should have thought of that. Yeah. The density of the wood, the old growth. Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever seen an F in Brazilian, Tad?
I think I've seen pictures of them, but I have never actually, had my hands on one. I may have, but
that's what I would like to have. That's one of my next goal or whatever. I would like for them to build an F series for me with Brazilian. So I've been kind of thinking about it, and I talked to him about it last year, but I hadn't pulled the trigger because it's it's so expensive.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I feel like I hit a grand slam home run with this OM Grand. I took it out, and it was just like I spent all this money, and I took it out of the case, and I thought, wow, this is the greatest guitar I've ever played. I mean, seriously, that's what I thought. And then I'm thinking, well, if I get another one, is it like lightning going to strike twice, or am I going to spend, X amount of thousands and thousands of dollars and then get something that's not as good as what I already have? And so because of that, I've been kind of waffling.
They have that. Richard has the science down, and it's based in science, and yeah, when he said density, I mean, they know moisture content. They know how long this has been sitting there. They know everything about the piece of wood that they're going to take, and you're going to trust them for whatever it costs. You're going to trust them that they're going to turn out something that's absolutely spectacular. And
I think you're right. I couldn't disagree.
I don't know if I could do it with anybody else. I certainly couldn't do it with Fender Custom Shop.
Yeah. Well, even I like Collings guitars, and the Collings factory. I'm here in Southwest Austin. It's just a few miles down the road from where I live here, and I know I've gotten several Collings, and they're a good guitar, but it's the quality of the sound. I mean, they're great. I don't
different.
Want to say anything.
They're different.
But you can pick up a Collings, and they make a lot more guitars per year, and this is what Jim Lehman was telling me. And Collings makes a lot more guitar. Like Santa Cruz makes 300 or 400 guitars a year, and so Collings makes several thousand. And so you can pick up a Collings, and every other Collings you pick up, you might like it really good, or it might be it's good or okay, but that's what I was impressed with when I at the Guitar Resurrection in Austin, which is closed now. I think Jim retired, but I picked every Santa Cruz guitar that you pick up is good. I mean, maybe it's not as good as the other one, but the consistency of the quality of Santa Cruz is something that I've never. They're the most consistently good guitar, in my opinion, that I've played. Because you pick one of them up, and they're all like every OM, and OM Grand he had at that store was good. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I just picked out. I knew that the OM Grand and with the top better wood, the more wood, I knew that was what I wanted. After playing, you know, I went in there over several months and played it, you know, all of the guitars that he had multiple times, and I took notes of, you know, and then I made the decision. So if I make a decision on an F series, hopefully I can do the same thing and get another fabulous Santa Cruz guitar.
Well, I think that you would be very happy with it. But if you already have one Brazilian rosewood, I don't know. Have you played much of their mahogany? They make a damn nice mahogany guitar.
Well, I think all of their guitars are going to sound good. For instance, I've only really played one F series guitar, and it was there at Sylvan's when I was up there in January of 24, and it was a maple. And the thing is I pick up maples. I'm not really a maple guitar person, but I really like that guitar, that F series maple. And then, so like you say, with the mahogany, I've never really considered myself a mahogany guitar person, but but I really am. There's something about the Brazilian rosewood with the Adirondack. I mean, there's something about that just like perks my ears up for some, and that's just me. You know,
no, it's not just you. It's
not.
Well, I mean, it just really rings my chimes for some reason. I mean, I can't imagine finding anything that I like better than. I mean, I'm sure there's other, but finding something that I liked better than that, I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're doing fingerstyle, so you know the overtones and the richness and everything that Brazilian brings to the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you can control those in your playing, then it's unbeatable. You know, there are times though where I'm more of a like, I want to say, you know, sit around the campfire kind of player. Although usually no campfire is involved. And you know, a maple or mahogany guitar is just a pleasure.
Oh yeah, I would completely agree with you, and I think, you know, and people who are singers, you know, can do different kinds of guitars and whatever with singing, and you don't have, and then all the different kinds of woods, and each wood has its own, you know, sonic, you know, properties and all that, and it just you know, everybody's going to have, you know, there's something that you know, it's just an individual thing, you know. And so how many you have F series guitars? Are you a singer, player, or mainly a player?
No, I definitely sing when I play because I got to do something to hide the playing. But I have a few Fs. I have like three or four FTCs, the carved backs.
I've heard about that.
And I bought an FS, but I gave it to a friend who is a good fingerstyle player who was trying to do it on an inexpensive Taylor, and I felt bad for him. So yeah.
Well, is it okay to delve into the F series questions now? I mean, before
Yeah.
Sure.
So I talked to them a year or so ago, and I asked him about the carved back and whether that, and the Mike at Sylvan seems to think that his opinion was what I was looking at, just an F series with some custom, F series with some custom, improve
Yeah,
options was
yeah.
probably the best thing for me personally, as opposed to the carved back, which sounds very intriguing.
It's very, very forward projection. It's a very powerful guitar, but I don't think that Santa Cruz would even be able to make one of those in Brazilian rosewood.
That's exactly what he said. He said, yeah, they wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm
I
so
think I
addicted to
think I've
Brazil.
seen one in Brazilian rosewood on the used market some years ago, and even then it was rather pricey.
Hmm.
And
Was that with a carved back or?
yeah, 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 because they have made them. I mean, if you look at the original Santa Cruz price lists from like 1979, 1980, the upcharge for Brazilian was like $125.
Wow.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that's like getting into the Armadillo World Headquarters for a buck or something.
yeah. So there are some really wonderful old Santa Cruzes around, but most of the people who have them, they're not going anywhere till they die. So we got to wait for that to happen, and then hope.
I saw something about a year or two back that Doki Edwards of
Mhm.
the Ventures had two Santa Cruz guitars, and he passed away, and somebody was selling those guitars, and one of his relatives who didn't know anything about it, and he was trying to get I think he was trying to get Santa Cruz guitar people who knew about that to give him opinions, and so I guess he sold those, but they were like Brazilian, but I don't know. I think they were F. Now that I realize this was several, I think they were F series or FTCs or something. But
Probably the apps, yeah.
But
Most of the FTCs were maple. A vast majority of them. That's what Clapton had, was a FTC and maple. So
I played that maple at Sylvan, and it wasn't a carved back,
Mhm.
but it was very. I was very very much like. There's something about the OM Grand is great, but the at F it has a little extra volume, and the tone is fabulous. It has a little extra volume and presence, more above the OM Grand. That was my impression. But every guitar is different. So again, I would, if I want a F series, I would want a Brazilian with an Adirondack top. But I'm thinking that I'd like to try to put the same neck on it as the OM Grand, because I love the neck on the OM Grand. And
that shouldn't be a problem.
So yeah, so you think that's going to be? And I asked that of Richard, and he said the same thing. He said no, and something tells me, gosh, again, is it going to sound that great? And part of me doesn't want to believe it, but I got to believe people here who know what they're talking about.
Well,
he's got it so dialed in. It's so dialed in. It's
So the OM Grand neck, if I put the same one I've got on I had them do it on the F series, it wouldn't change. And I wanted to get a cutaway also.
Mm-hmm.
And
got to have a cutaway on an F. It just looks so sexy.
Oh yeah. Well, I was going to have it on the OM Grand, but then I thought, I decided against it. But I really want one guitar acoustic with a cutaway, so I can get up a little bit higher.
no money over the 12th fret anyway.
Yeah. I think you'd find that it would be a fantastic guitar. I don't think it would be that much different from your OM Grand, but that you might find that the EQ, so to speak, is going to be slightly different, just because of the different shapes of the bodies and the soundboards.
A
Um,
little bit more bass or a little bit more.
you see,
What do you think?
that's where I have a hard time saying, because I don't have an OM Grand and I haven't played one. And I played one, I think, once briefly at a music store. So I just don't have enough experience with it. Um, but, because of the woods and because of the way they build, the F might have a little bit more high end, but I don't know if it would have more volume. I mean, OM Grand is a pretty powerful guitar.
Yeah, it is. I felt like the F that I played with the maple, it had even more volume and presence. I mean, not like a huge amount, but I could see
Yeah.
the difference, and I could see, it's a little bit more volume and presence and sustain. And this, of course, the sustain of that's the thing about the Santa Cruz guitar is that's the secret, and the way
Yeah.
they have am able to have a acoustic guitar that sustains when you play it. I mean, and it's subtle, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean it really. I mean, I'll hit. I can just hit that chord on the guitar and just listen to it dying away, the little subtle tone, and it's just
Yeah.
like that is fabulous, man.
Well, that's where I think you find that with the F, having a maple neck, the density of the neck affects it, and I do. Maple generally doesn't have the kind of overtones. It's a little more
Uh-huh.
fundamental compared to the Brazilian, so that
Right.
it may kind of sound like it's maybe more powerful, but uh,
Yeah,
I
with
don't
the
think
you're
it
saying.
really is. I think it's just a little more fundamental, which
Mhm.
that purity may sound a little more. I don't know. Hard to say.
So yeah, so the maple wood is going to give it a little bit more, whereas the Brazilian being so dense, it has a great tone, but not necessarily a
And the overtones.
bigger.
That's the thing. Brazilian brings out all those beautiful overtones
Uh
that
huh.
so many other woods don't seem to really have. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard because Richard and I can only be enablers when it comes to ordering a guitar from Santa Cruz. I mean, you just can't go wrong. That's all
Right.
there is to it. Um,
Well, I
and
think
some of those,
I'm just going to have to go for it.
Yeah.
well, I think so. I think if there's specific things like that you're really looking for in the guitar, talk to the shop, talk
Uh
to Brenda or talk to Mike, or if you can, if
huh.
Richard's available, talk to him. And,
Mm-hmm.
they can make some notes that, you're looking for this kind of a response or this or that.
Mm-hmm.
And, they can make sure that, if you want that extra overtone and that extra sustain to, maybe find you a neck that's a little denser, a little harder, a little heavier that
Okay.
might help with that.
Okay.
And they'll make, that's what they're so good at is
Mm-hmm.
listening to what the musician wants from their instrument, and then doing all the little tweaks and adjustments and the choices and the materials to help make that happen as well as it possibly can. um,
That's good. Is the shape of the headstock going to make a whole lot of difference?
the weight of the headstock might, but the shape of it really probably
Okay. The
wouldn't.
weight. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like the old days, putting a clamp on the headstock to get some extra sustain. You put some big old tuners with big metal buttons and add all that
Mm-hmm.
extra weight to the headstock. It can help with that. Um,
I love
but
those tuners. I love the tuners on that. I think it starts with an O. The O. What do they call? I can't remember the.
the Gotos,
Yes, that's what I've got on the.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That they're so smooth on my OM Grand.
yeah,
But
yeah.
also is the having a different type of nut or nut and bridge or bridge pins. Is that going to make
I don't know about the
difference?
bridge. I don't know about the bridge
Yeah.
pin thing. We did a podcast with Richard about bridge pins, and you know, it all works together.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's all about weight. If you were to put like brass bridge pins in, you would definitely notice a difference because you're adding a huge amount of mass right in the
Uh-huh.
center of your resonating top. And if you
Hmm.
were to put in super light bridge pins, you'd notice a big difference. But the reality is the ebony bridge pins that Santa Cruz uses, they work. I mean, that's
Uh-huh.
all part of their system. And even if you were to substitute bone or something else, the
Uh-huh.
difference in weight is so minimal.
Okay.
Your ear probably can't ever hear it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the material of the bridge or the nut is.
Then the nut for certain, they use bone, and it's it's the right stuff to use.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The bridge, you know, some people will say pyramids, and some people will say ebonies, and some people will say this and that, and there's a lot of internet lore out there, and not a lot of it based in really science. And Richard works with somebody from it's Stanford, from the acoustics department up there, and they're having it's really hard to put your finger on some of that stuff,
Hmm.
to scientifically say this is what it is,
Yeah.
because anybody can say, well, my fossil walrus sounds so much better than my fossil buffalo, and it's like, okay, you know, okay, we'll go with that, sure, but whether or not that's discernible, but in describing what you're looking for, I don't think there's anybody on the planet that's better at matching a musician with an instrument. And
Good.
we've seen it. We've seen it in so many people. I mean, I've known Eric Sky for probably close to pretty much 20 years now, and he has two guitars, and they're both
Great.
the same. And
Really.
he plays one of them until it needs to be refretted, and then
Uh-huh.
he sends it down and he plays the other one for a year, and
I think
then,
he,
and then he decides. Then one morning he takes out the other one and goes, "Oh well, this one's really great," but they're almost identical. I mean,
yeah.
So is that OMs that he plays?
he's playing
Yep.
his own design that he and Richard worked out, and it's my understanding that is their most successful model.
It's a double lot.
Yeah.
And he
Okay.
actually has three of them because he realized he needed to be able to leave one to each of his kids. So
Uh, well, there. I tried. They had a triple O at Guitar Resurrection. I played, and I wasn't as impressed with it. I mean, it was good, like all the Santa Cruz, but Collings here for some reason. I played triple O's that they have. They make a very good triple O. That I just as an aside, but the OM Grand. I think the FS is what I'm going to go for. One other question is how about the difference in type of frets on the neck? Is that going to make the difference? I really like the neck of the way the frets go, but it's like you can tell how the frets are wearing. I've had the frets, you know, on mine. It's like 4 years old, four something years old. I've had it worked on. I haven't had the frets replaced yet, but
just
I
had it
guess that.
milled or
Excuse me.
just had them milled
Yes,
or
like two or three
tuned.
times now.
Yeah. I don't know if Santa Cruz can get or can use or has access to Evo fret material. As I understand it, the company that made it went out of business, but that was about the best material you could find. Um,
But
I
that's
don't
more
know
of
if they're
a
doing.
is
I
that
don't know if
more
they're doing
for wear
stainless or
tobacco?
not.
Stainless requires a whole bunch of different tools
Yeah.
because it's so much harder, and it really does. Although I'm sure that they could set the Plek machine
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
handle anything like that.
Definitely questions asked the shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave, thank you for giving up some of your afternoon here. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being interested enough to talk to me. I'm
Yeah.
very flattered.
It's
And,
it's
to hear from
inspiring.
guys from the great state of California, which I have. No, I'm serious. The California is just such a fabulous place, and what a better place for a Santa Cruz guitarist to be in California. And
I
I've never
agree.
been a surfer, but I understand what Santa Cruz is, the surfing capital of the
It's
West
debatable.
Coast.
It's debatable.
But I'm very flattered that you would want to talk to me, that you like my playing, and would
Yeah.
spend the time with me. I'm extremely flattered.
I've
Thank you
been
very much.
I've been following you. I've been following you for about 6 months, and we've had a little lull here in both of us were involved in some other projects and some things like that. And now that we're jumping back into it, one guy that follows you is Paul Prokoff.
Yeah.
And
He's
when
such
we
a nice guy.
He really is, and Paul kind of started this with us in terms of, he said, "Who am I?" And I said, "You're a guy that's out there playing all the time, and you don't care. Not that he doesn't care, but he's playing. You're playing for yourself, and." There's not a lot of pressure on it, and Paul's become a really dear friend from that, and I hope that we can say the same thing about you, and we can't
Great.
thank you enough for being on, Dave.
Well,
And
thank
we'll
you.
make sure to link your YouTube and Instagram and all your other stuff so that people catching this will be able to find you more easily and add to your
subscribe.
subscriber list. And
Well,
yeah.
great. That's fabulous. I couldn't. That's fabulous. Thank you very much.
And share it where you can.
So the best ways to get a hold of you guys is just on Facebook and Instagram.
We'll end here, and we'll stay on together.
Oh, okay.
Just for a second. So thanks.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of 70s in Austin. But
it was a great time.
Yeah,
I had some great memories.
A really amazing thing. So have a great afternoon, and look for this in the next couple days.
Sure.
So thanks very much.
All right. Thank you.
Goodbye.
We hope you enjoyed this installment of the Santa Cruz Coffee Break. For more music-related fun, please join the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum at SCGCPF or SantaCruzGuitarPlayers.com. If you have any questions or possible podcast topics, please contact us. If you have a product or service that you feel would be of value to our listeners, please consider adding your support and keeping the coffee pot on. Contact us for more information. We ask that you hit the like, follow, bell, or bookmark buttons so we can keep you informed of upcoming podcast episodes. We hope you enjoyed Santa Cruz Coffee Break. Now it's time to go play your guitar.